All right. Good evening, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome. This is Dr. Stacy Holweger, and I am so excited you are here with us this evening. I have a fantastic doctor that is going to be sharing some incredible information with you. So you're just going to have to hang tight here. Get your notepads out, get your pens if you're a guest. Thank you for joining us for LifeWave Science and Technology Tuesday night Zoom, and of course our Q&A that comes a little bit later at the end. And for those of you that are watching the replay, you are in for a treat. So before I get started, let me share with you, first of all, that I am not a medical doctor. Dr. Weber is not a medical doctor. He's a naturopathic doctor. I'm going to share his bio in just a minute. I have a PhD in integrative and functional medicine, and so he and I focus in the holistic world, alternative types of healing modalities and tools and techniques and therapies and whatnot. And he's going to go into all of his background and expertise. But just so you know, we aren't medical doctors, so we are not here to diagnose you, to claim to treat or cure you or prevent any types of diseases. We won't be discussing diseases tonight, as we never discuss diseases, right? LifeWave's technology is all about helping the body get into balance in a way that helps the body in a natural manner. So with that, if you are pregnant or nursing on medications or anything else, please check with your practitioner or your healthcare provider if you have any questions in your health. So Dr. Jerry Weber is a naturopathic doctor who helps people heal naturally. He received his doctorate of naturopathy in 2008 and has been involved in natural health for over 30 years. He practices at Health and Wellness of Carmel in Carmel, Indiana. I'm personally from Evansville, Indiana, just a little farther south, so that's amazing. He is founder and co-creator of the Body Balance Healing System, a natural healthcare system using muscle testing, anatomy, and physiology to discover the root cause and correct it naturally. He's also founder and co-creator of Energize. Is that correct?
Energize.
Energize, okay. An imprinted frequency water product company that offers frequency imprints and tools. And I'll share these websites and links for you guys. He has written 2 books. You Can Heal Naturally, which is a step-by-step procedure of basic, intermediate, and advanced muscle testing using the Body Balance Healing System. The second book is Resurrecting Your Life, which addresses the spiritual and mental concepts based on the teachings of Jesus. Dr. Weber is a new addition to LifeWave team. His personal satisfaction of the product is now being taught to each of his patients, and he now believes this technology is the foundation of health. So thank you so much, Dr. Weber, for being here with us tonight. We really appreciate you taking the time and pouring into our LifeWave community. We have hundreds on here this evening. Thousands will be watching the replay over the coming weeks. So can you take us back to the beginning? What made you decide to get into, naturopathic healing modalities in your practice? What do you do? I know we talked a little bit about gut health the other day and how you really focus on that. And of course, take us, through that journey and then up to speed of how LifeWave entered your life. And why did you decide as a doctor to utilize this yourself and for your patients?
Absolutely. Well, thank you first, Dr. Stacy, for inviting me to this wonderful conference and podcast. First off, the reason that we are doing what we do is because it's the only true way to heal. 43 years ago, our daughter, Leslie, went in and had her first baby shots. Within 24 hours, she had 105 fever and febrile convulsions. We took her back to the pediatrician as we were told to do, and they wanted to put her on an epileptic seizure medicine for 7 years. We said, no, we're not going to do it. We walked out and we had the Child Protective Services on our doorstep. And thank goodness I knew the lady. I said, give me 3 months and we'll make this work. And we found a gentleman in California, and his name's Jerry Redding, and he helped us. She never had a problem. She's now a healthy 43-year-old or 44-year-old almost. So this is where we started. And, you always start in natural health when you've had a problem. And what's happening in the United States today, we're getting millions of people that have pain. We have millions of people that are on drugs. They want to keep us off drugs, but yet every time you go into anything for the MD, you're going to get another drug that is toxic to the body. And we learned that very, very early. So we just started off through a lot of different companies and learning a little bit here, a little bit there, and so forth. So I was actually a national hair designer at the time. And one time I had a huge clientele back in the 70s and 80s. And one day, one of the network marketing companies came in, wanted me to become one of their partners. And I really wasn't interested at all. But the lady that was with her said, well, let me show you something. And first time in my life, I saw muscle testing. That was where it happened. I was already into natural health, but I didn't know about muscle testing. And for all of your viewers, muscle testing is a gift from God. It is your natural diagnostic tool that you can learn how to do yourself and take more power into yourself. And that's what it's all about, to empower yourself with your natural health. You know, my son, Dr. Michael, and I both say this: health is wealth. May you prosper. And the only way you're going to prosper is to know how to communicate with your body and not give it over to somebody else. And that's what we learned through this journey. Okay. I am 71, almost 72 years old, and I take no medications. And so what we're doing is we muscle test. We have many, many, many stories. We've done over 20,000 exams all over the United States. So that's kind of where we're at that point. Okay. So we just kind of came up through, that's a short story kind of, but that's where we started. And every one of us has some kind of story like that of what kicked us over into the alternative world. And really, it's not alternative. No. It's really the truth. It's really the main one. Back in the 1940s and 1950s, the Rockefellers actually changed the whole concept for people. Before that, it was herbs, it was homeopathy, those kind of things that basically the whole world had been lied to sell pharmaceutical. And we have to stand up against that. And we're doing that every day of our lives. All right. So that's kind of the introduction. Okay.
I love it. I'm 100% on board with all of that. I'm a huge muscle tester. I have been for years, and completely agree with you. We say alternative, holistic, all natural, but that is the way it's always been. And unfortunately, things have changed, like you said, after the 40s, and some of those inventions and some of those drugs were important, right? Some of the things
absolutely
we did, but the narrative got changed.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So you mentioned muscle testing, that you've been muscle testing for a long time. And a lot of people muscle test. But what they don't have is they don't have a system. And a system is an ABC 1, 2, 3 that you can count on every single time to find the root cause. That's what my book, You Can Heal Naturally, is about. And that's what Dr. Michael and I teach constantly. And we are going to be in Florida a couple of times coming up this summer.
And we will see you at our July event. You will be there for the doctors panel, July 20th. So we're looking forward to that as well.
I'm very honored about that, because I was at another program the other night that was a LifeWave program. One of my friends, Dr. Phil Harris, you probably know as well, but he was doing a program. I was there to support him, and they heard that I didn't tell them I was, I didn't have the exact, but I said, we're in the process of talking about being there. Are you going? Kind of deal. And they're going, oh my gosh, you came up fast. It's like one of those, like, I haven't been in, too long, but let me tell you a little bit about that real quick, how I got here real quick. And I'm going to go in and talk about gut health. Okay. The way I got here is 2.5 years ago, I was introduced to LifeWave. I'm a little slow. No, really, really what happened on that was my wife of 46 years had just passed, and she transcended. And in just a month or so after that incident, that I was still probably in shock and grief, we had someone introduce us to this whole program, and it honestly was just not the right timing. And I want to make sure that your audience knows that sometimes, it's, someone says no now doesn't mean no forever. So just kind of keep touching them with some love. Don't badger them, but just kind of love them. And when they're ready, they'll come to you. That way you don't push. You don't push them. You pull, and you pull in with love. And so just a short period of time ago, through, again, Dr. Phil introduced us to Amy Hamzy and Jack, and we've become friends. They've invited us, Carol, my partner, and I, down to Florida. We did a program for them, and we were both having some pain. Carol has a lot of pain flying, and we are flying a lot and so forth. And Amy and Jack were nice enough to say, hey, try the patches. Okay, just try them. And I think that's the secret right there. Just sharing them, and they shared them. And all of a sudden, we were only there for a few days, but they were making a difference. And so we both came home and talked about it. And we immediately enrolled as platinum members, both of us. So we just we're not married, we're partners. So legally we can do that in LifeWave, and we can kind of double up a little bit there, can't we? Yes. Okay. But anyway, that's kind of where we are. The reason that I did come on was because I was getting results.
And what patches were you using? I know they're going to ask me, what were you using, Carol, for the pain? What did you start off with?
Well, of course, we always started off with the X39. And that's the only one that I was using for a while. But then I really got turned on to the energy enhancers, because there is some things in muscle testing that we can do. Matter of fact, on August 3rd, which we'll talk about, we're going to be bringing out 2 different measurements you can do in muscle testing now to actually prove about the stem cell.
Wow.
Oops, wasn't supposed to say that, but oops. Anyway, the cell activity. Okay. So we're going to be talking about that on August 3rd at our program. So even if you're a muscle tester, okay, you should come to that, because we're going to do this a little bit. But if you're not a muscle tester, we're going to take that first amount of time and go over our exact process of what we do muscle testing wise. And then we're going to take it into a deeper one for you people that already are major muscle testers. And I guarantee you, I don't care what level of muscle testing you are at this moment, we will take you to the next level.
Wonderful.
So come down and see us here in Tampa. Okay, so let's go move on. Let's go into how you use this Body Balance Healing System to find the root cause. That's what everyone talks about, right? Everybody, well, we're going to go to the root cause. And then they just give you a product. Okay. That's not how you find the root cause. Now, the one thing I would like to say about right now about LifeWave patches is, here's how natural health is. And I've been in it for a long time. I feel, and this is me too, I'm talking about myself. We've been playing whack-a-mole. Okay. And we were talking about whack-a-mole when we were talking, right, Dr. Stacy? And if you don't know what
Carnivals.
mackerel mold, you got to be a Hoosier like Dr. Stacy and I are. We got to, in our fairs, we used to have this box with a bunch of holes in it. And there would be a mole come up this hole and then that hole, and this hole and that hole. And I feel like that, it's like, okay, let's, okay, you got heartburn. Okay, over here. Now you got gut stuff. Okay, now you got this. And we're having to try to do all this. And I believe that where we're at right now with the patches is we set a foundation. Okay, we use the stems, all that just working by itself, letting it do its thing. And then whatever is left is what we work on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to make us look better, because I don't think the patient or the client or the person is going to have to use as much stuff. And that's one of the biggest complaints I hear about natural alternative medicine or health, is people are having to use too many things.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this is the reason I'm in this is to help our patients get, of course, healthier, but also not have to use so much things, so many. I mean, people are bringing bags of stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh my gosh, right? So that's kind of what we're doing. And with our energized imprinted frequency water, this is frequency. It's not even substance. So what we're talking about is almost the same, and both LifeWave and our energized program work together like a hand in a glove, because all of it's about light and frequency, and it's all together like that. And that's why I'm here. And the other third reason I'm here, there's one more reason. David Schmidt. I started listening to every one of his YouTubes, including yours. Okay. And this guy is so smart, because like a lot of you, I am a lifetime student. Yep. And sometimes it's hard to find the right person to really start getting more information. And through muscle testing, you can test true or false. It's real simple. And David's testing true. And I like his spiritual approach. Okay, those are some of the things the reason that I'm there. Mm-hmm. Okay. And I have to tell you a real quick story that just happened. Okay. Dr. Michael, my son, who's a naturopath, we're talking to him, and I didn't want to shove this onto him. And so he's been watching some of the videos and seeing things like this. And I had an X39 patch on, and I was on the road, so I didn't have any with me. I said, that's probably a sin. I should be carrying them with me, and I don't, because I'll be back into Indy tomorrow. But anyway, I had an X39 patch on that I had worn for 12 hours or close to 12 hours. Mm-hmm. And he was having a little bit of issue. And I said, I'll tell you what, it's worn. I took it right off, gave it to him. He wore it and told me today he could tell the difference.
Wow.
In a partially used X39, that was all it was, and he was able to tell a difference. I mean, he knows his body well, but he could tell the difference just in a few hours. Mm-hmm. And that is the reasons I'm here.
Wow. That makes sense. There's a little bit left in that patch when we take it off, about 12 to 14 hours worth. So taking it off and passing it to him is the same as taking it off and passing it to our dog. Same-ish, right? We pass it to our dog, to our cat. There's a little bit left. They get some benefit. There's a little bit left. Right. And he got the benefit he needed. That is fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And with that, he'll be joining us, and that's wonderful. And so now let's go into gut health.
Yes.
All right. The first thing I like to say about this is I don't think probably hardly anybody out here that's been to a medical doctor can say that they talk to them about their digestion.
Hmm.
And if they do, they're going to send you to a specialist, which then they're going to scope and they're going to do this and that. But nobody talks to or even talks about digestion of is the protein digesting properly? Is the fats? Are the fats being digested properly? Are the proteins? Is the sugar? All of these, are they being digested? So what? So about down your area, and I was telling you a little bit about that story in Louisville. I was doing a program for about 15 natural health professionals, different professionals. And my first PowerPoint was, you are what you eat. So I asked him, I said, how many of you believe this? And over half their hands went up that they believed it. And these were professionals that were out there helping other people. But yet, how important is protein digestion? It's the utmost importance. So my next PowerPoint at that program, the next one was a big red nose, about as large as I could get it, because here's why. You have to digest it. You have to absorb it through the GI tract. It has to be transported to the liver. It has to be metabolized in the liver. I call that humanizing it. Mm-hmm. And then sending it to the cell, and the cell has to accept it in the receptors. So every nutrient, has to go through that process. That's why Energize and that's why stem cells are the way to go, because they don't have to go through that process. It doesn't have to go through any of that process, neither one of them. So, all right. So what if a person's not, how do you know, first off, if you're not digesting protein? Well, if you, of course, muscle tested, all you have to do is ask yourself, am I digesting my protein? But what if you don't muscle test? And I want to go back to one of my mentors. My main mentor always said this: I feel sorry for people who can't muscle test. So if you really want to get into natural health, muscle testing is a big, big, big deal in this. All right. So if we go back to this protein now, once you find out if you're not muscle testing, there's a couple ways you can usually tell if you are not digesting protein. One of them is bubbles in your urine. Okay, so if you see bubbles in the urine that look like fish eggs, especially, us guys, it's pretty easy. Girls, it might be a little more difficult. But if you pay a little bit more attention to that urine to make sure that there's no fish bubbles in there, like frog eggs kind of thing, and that they don't bust, that's excess protein. So that's a way to look at that. Are you belching, bloating, burping? Okay, and here's why. Because when you don't digest protein, what happens is that undigested protein goes down into the gut. And guess what it does? It's about almost 100 degrees of heat, and it's sitting there doing what? Rotting.
Yeah.
Just rotting. That's it. And when that food starts rotting down in your GI tract, it produces gas, which is going to come up. If you're having flatulence, that's another story. But if you're going up through the GI tract here right now, that's what that's about. There's 3 steps of protein digestion, and all 3 of these steps are in my book, You Can Heal Naturally, that Dr. Stacy mentioned. Okay, but these are, your protein has to first off be broken down with hydrochloric acid and pepsin, which turns into pepsinogen. Okay, you have to have that hydrochloric acid to change that pepsin into pepsinogen, which really does the breakdown. Now, if you're not digesting your protein, you're also not breaking down your minerals. Okay, so that's because you have to have that first step, and that is the acid in the stomach. Now, a lot of people, okay, so they might, if they say, okay, if you're a certain age, first off, one of the biggest problems is MDs putting people on these different proton pump inhibitors.
Mm-hmm.
They automatically put them on that. If you go in and tell a doctor that you're having, say, heartburn, for instance, they automatically will try to put you on one of those. That is one of the worst things you can do for your body, because you have to have amino acids for everything in your body, every tissue, every enzyme, everything, especially your neurotransmitters in your brain. Say that is so important. So if your hydrochloric acid is not correct, this is where our body balance healing system comes in. Dr. Michael and I, what we do virtually as well as in Carmel, but we're in, I don't know, 25 or so states doing programs. We can tell you exactly why that is not working properly, and we can suggest a way to correct it naturally. And it's not guesswork. It's not like, let's try this or let's try that. What we do has been tested over and over and over hundreds of times. We know what it is. When you have a problem, it's either going to be a toxin, a parasite, tissue damage, nutritional deficiency, or hopefully I can say this one, spike protein.
Just let it slide on through.
All right, good job. All right, so there's the first step. That's the first one. Remember, there's 3 steps of protein digestion. The second one most of us know about, called protease. Okay, that's a pretty easy one. Protease comes from the pancreas, comes across the pancreatic duct, comes into the duodenum area, and basically helps break down after the hydrochloric acid and all that has done its business. Then it comes down and it starts going into those enzymes. The one that most people don't know about is in the disaccharides. These are enzymes down in the gut that's being produced out of the microvilli. And there's 2 of them. One is called chymotrypsin, CHYMO, and the other one is trypsin, TRYPSIN. Chymotrypsin and trypsin is the third part of finalizing the amino acids down to the perfect 8 essential amino acids. That is your protein digestion. So if your hydrochloric acid is not working properly, I would suggest adding some betaine HCl. Now, when you add the betaine HCl, you do it in the middle of the meal. You start with 1 and you increase per meal until you get a warm stomach. After you get the warm stomach, you won't like me at that moment, okay? It'll feel kind of yucky there for a minute, but you'll know you've hit your hydrochloric acid limit and you back off 1. So basically, if you go up to 3 or 4, let's say you go up to 4 and 4 kind of makes it burn a little bit, then your perfect one would be 3. If you do that one for a while, then you go back and it starts burning, you go back to 2. But it's not fixing the problem, ladies and gentlemen. That's not fixing the problem. What we have to do is go through our system and say, okay, this is whatever it may be. We use a frequency system to find that. In my book, You Can Heal Naturally, you'll find that frequency system for you advanced muscle testers. So the book is really good because no matter if you know nothing about energy work, which I don't think there's too many on here that don't, but it starts off with let there be light. We love that one, don't we? Let there be light. Phototherapy, yeah, absolutely. All the So let's go in now to the next part, okay? Once that protein is digested properly, it has to go to the liver. And then the liver has to metabolize it, which takes 3 amino acids. They're all different, but those 3 amino acids actually break down that to where the cell can recognize it to use it. And then one of the big things that my son, Dr. Michael, works on is receptors. I remember him talking to an MD because we work with MDs in our office. And when he was there, and he was trying to explain receptors to an MD. And this MD had to look him up to understand what he was trying to talk to him about.
Wow.
Okay. So that's pretty crazy. All right. Oh, sorry, we had a call come in. Okay, so now let's move on. If those receptors, okay, if the receptors are not working properly, then again, what we have to do is use our body balance healing systems, frequency system, or we figure out. So in other words, if someone's having a problem, is it glyphosate? Is it heavy metals? Is it all of these possibilities, including a new one that maybe some of you heard about, some haven't, called virus corpses. Virus corpses are one of the big deals out there that Energize we work with all the time, and we can get rid of them. But if you've had COVID and Corona and all those kind of viruses, this is kind of like, I believe, one of the reasons for the long haul COVID problems is these virus corpses. In other words, a person's not testing that they have COVID or even maybe Corona like the flu, but there's still junk there. That's these virus corpses. And if you want to learn more about those, the person who taught me that was the medical medium. Okay, the medical medium, in chapter 3 of his first book, he'll tell you about virus corpses. And I test everything. And what Dr. Michael and I do when we test something or listen to something, we're testing whether that information is true or is it false. And so when we come up with information that we like, then what we're going to do is say, okay, is that a true statement? And the universe always knows. Okay, all you have to do is ask God and the Holy Spirit, and you always will get the right answer, period. Always. Okay, so there, that kind of gives you an idea of how protein works throughout. Now, so let's go in and talk about some of the things that a lot of people are having trouble with in the gut. Okay, and one of those is inflammation. Okay, so the first thing you want to do if someone has inflammation in the GI tract, okay, is first off an Ian patch.
Yeah.
After the X39. So you do the X39 and the Ian patch. Those are the two that I would start off with, and then find something that soothes the GI tract. But there's a reason. Why is it inflamed? Why is it inflamed? Someone says, "Oh, you got inflammation." Oh, thanks. It's kind of like a doctor telling you you got arthritis. All right, doc, okay, arthritis. Itis meaning inflammation, arthur meaning joint. You're now telling me I knew that. That's why I'm here. But they don't give you another reason. In our body balance healing system, we tell you, okay, your synovial fluid's low. Okay, why? Because the synovial membrane has paraquat in it. How are we going to get it out? This is how we get it out with DTX2. We know how to do it every time. Okay. Then you got to check also, are you able to get the toxin out? If you can't get the toxin out, so in other words, someone might say, okay, this is the product I need for this. Yes. Okay, great. But are you able to utilize the product? Is it beneficial? It's a big part of this muscle testing program, is not just find out what you need, but is it beneficial? Okay. All right. So the next area is leaky gut. Okay. Leaky gut is a huge deal because that is what's setting up a lot of all these autoimmune system problems. Okay. The autoimmune system issues, one of the reasons I didn't believe in autoimmune for a long time because they were putting so much so many problems in that category. You know, it's kind of like I hear these people coming in and they got an autoimmune, they got an autoimmune, they got an autoimmune kind of deal. It's kind of like they get them all on antibiotics. Okay, they all had autoimmune. So I started thinking about it, and leaky gut is definitely one of the reasons for an autoimmune problem. Because what happens is the junction cells basically get damaged because of usually, here we go, ladies and gentlemen, we won't like this one, gluten. But here's another one for you advanced people and for everybody here. If you're testing gluten, okay, that's great. But are you testing gliadin? Okay, this is what we do. We take you to that next step, because if a person's got inflammation in that gut, check for gluten. They go, oh, you're okay on gluten. You're strong on gluten, no problem. Check gliadin. Boop. All of a sudden, now you know you're getting better. You're getting more accurate. Because what we always say, a general question or statement gets a general answer. The more specific the question, or the more specific that is, then, or the statement is, you're going to get more specific. That's why our Body Balance Healing System is so good, because we take you down into that anatomy and that physiology down to the cell level.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So using, getting that gut right is a big part of your health. And one of the last things on the gut that I'll speak about tonight is also the gut-brain connection. The gut-brain connection is so important, and here's why. For every message that the brain sends to your gut, the gut is sending back to the brain 9 messages. That's solid research. Okay, there's a great book that I'm actually reading right now. I'm getting ready to go on a long flight. I'm taking it with me, called "Why Is My Brain Not Working?" Great book. Okay, but that is maybe we can come back and talk about brain health whenever, maybe down the road, because it is one of the most important things. Because if your brain's not working, you don't want to be alive. Okay, because that brain's running your whole body. Okay, so that brain is so important, and that's why we made Brain Plus and New, that we're getting incredible testimonies on the Brain Plus and New from Energize. So, but that whole gut brain deal. Now, the one reason that a lot of people are having a problem with is they've been on antibiotics. Okay, so all of a sudden, all of these messengers that are down in the gut trying to talk to your brain basically gets destroyed, and we have to rebuild them. And we were just talking to someone at the office a couple of days ago about all this. But here you try to put a probiotic in. Well, how many strains of bacteria are actually in a probiotic? A dozen, 15. They might tell you that there's 1 trillion in it. And then are they alive or not? That's the next question. But the thing about it is, ladies and gentlemen, there's probably at least 500 different strains of bacteria in the gut. So kefir is good. I use a lot of the Ion Gut Health. That helps. Something to rebuild, not replace. You can use a replacement of a probiotic, but you also need something that will basically rebuild all the terrain. Like Carrie Reeves always said, it's all about the terrain.
Yeah. And
that's what we're talking about tonight, is getting the terrain correct. You do that through what your patches do. That's how you start rebuilding the terrain. and things like this. And then you got to get away from eating foods that are causing the inflammation. Okay. Well, what's the first one? The first one basically is like we already talked about: the gluten, the gliadin, the dairy. And I don't think there's probably too many people on this call tonight that's probably doing cow milk. But if you are, you shouldn't. Okay. Hopefully you're not. Go to almond milk, whatever you're, and you know what's really great? Muscle test which one's right. Almond, hemp, coconut, whatever it may be. But something else besides cow milk. And if you have to go that way, of course, goat milk would be better. But just remember, we are not calves. Okay. We are the only species that drinks another species milk. Okay. So that's some of the things that will really help the gut. Okay.
Get that inflammation down. Absolutely. We've got to make those changes dietary, and we're all different. So what works for one person, some people may be able to handle coconut milk, and others, it may be that it's, almond milk, and others, some people do raw cow milk, and that's very healing for some people. So I think it's everyone. And that's why muscle testing is really great when you know how to do it and you trust it and you believe, right? It obviously you've tried and true with your method. Then you can say, this one is the most beneficial for me. This is what serves my body's highest good at this time. Doesn't mean it's always going to be that way, right? Things change as our bodies change, but being able to trust yourself and be able to go on this journey with probably initially a practitioner, but then of course getting to where you can say, you know what, this is what's best for me. Like I've never bought any supplement or, type of nutrient that I'm buying, an herb or something else, unless I muscle test it first. I'll stand right there in the store. No one knows I'm even doing it. But same thing for my kids. I've always muscle tested everything that I've purchased for them to make sure that it's what serves their highest good at that point in time right now. And I think that's really important, that it's a piece in the puzzle of you taking ownership in your health, right? There's a lot of information out there. It can be overwhelming. It can be daunting, especially if it's not your, cup of tea to dive into the world we're into. So it's definitely take baby steps with it if you need to, just get your foot wet, get your other foot wet before you jump both feet in at the same time.
It really is a blessing to have it. And you have that confidence to know you don't have to question it. Which one should I use, this product or this product? Which one's going to be the best? I don't know. And you start trying to look at the labels and all of that, And in muscle testing, it's about energy. It's about what creates a better energy for you. And what is causing problems in your energy, what takes away that energy. And that's what muscle testing does. It's just basically I call it a lie detector for the body. Yeah.
You know what? You mentioned something earlier too about people having, basically countertops full of, or bags full of, bottles of different stuff. And when we started patching 3 years ago, Laura and I, had that conversation about she had tubs. She had cured herself of stage 3, And so a few years before we found out about LifeWave, so she had tubs of containers of things that she had been taking to keep herself in that healthy, well state. She had done it naturally. And so when I don't even know how long we were patching, maybe 3 months, 6 months at the most, maybe the max. And she said, can you come over and muscle test and see which ones of these I need or don't need? Because I feel like there might be some that I don't need anymore. And we were able to eliminate what, Laura, all but 3 or 4 of them?
Yeah, we eliminated 3, and it was about 6 months after patching.
Okay. Yeah.
That's fabulous.
Yeah.
I mean, we got rid of a tub full of stuff that her body, because of using the X39, the Eon, glutathione, of course, for that gut, she was able to absorb and digest and assimilate nutrients in such a way that her body wasn't needing those things anymore as an outside source. And it was, that's huge too when you look at that. I don't know how much you saved, Laura, but I remember it was significant monthly.
Well,
I was
especially the,
spending probably every 6 to 8 weeks, anywhere between $800 to $1,000 every 6 to 8 weeks.
yeah.
Yep.
Well, just like the glutathione patch that you're talking about. I mean, right there, I mean, that's an expensive herb, expensive supplement. You can just patch and it's better anyway.
Oh yeah, when you take an exogenous source, I mean, you're only going to really elevate that glutathione about 20 to 23%. By using our patch, you actually leave it on 12 hours, but it elevates your own glutathione. Glutathione's a tripeptide, so it elevates your own glutathione over 300%, sustaining it for a 24-hour period. So you can actually patch every other day or every third day, even if you want. It's a fantastic detox, but it's huge. If you know anything about your immune system, the majority of it resides in your intestinal tract. And so that's what glutathione does. It helps to boost that immune system and help your body to, eliminate those free radicals that are causing, harm and damage inside of your body. So Dr. Weber, we've got about 13 minutes left. And we have a lot of guests on here this evening, right? We're creeping up over there, almost to 600 people on here. And a lot of people, they're all, private messaging me. Oh my God, this is incredible information. Tell me how do you spell this? What does this mean? So we're trying to answer all the questions we can. But can you share for those of us, the people that are on here that are guests, can you share for them, how does this technology work? How does this patch work? Do you mind sharing that? Because some people don't know.
Okay, well, are you talking about muscle testing or the patches themselves?
Just the patch. How does the patch itself work?
Okay, well, here you're asking, as you know this a lot better than I do, but I will tell you what I know. Okay,
and first
off, it's not a transdermal patch.
Correct.
That's number one, because we have been used to having transdermal patches used. No question about that. But what this is, it's a reflection. So on each patch, there is a certain configuration of crystallization and amino acids and peptides. And it sends a message as our own light, which comes from the DNA. Okay, it comes from the DNA, and it basically is infrared. And so this infrared heat that comes off of us, that can be, you can see this in infrared cameras, this heat that comes up to the skin when you have this patch on, it basically, I would say, reflects that back in to the body with a new message. And this new message is in each of the patches. And what it does is it basically turns on certain genes that we have lost over aging. So some genes that are on, okay, that shouldn't be on. And there's certain genes that should be on that isn't. So the combination of patches are sending in different messages for the body. And that's kind of how I understand how it works.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And so they want to know, when I put this patch on, I put this on in the morning, right? My body's light or heat hits that, reflects back that very specific wavelength of light, enters my body, elevates a peptide, right? Starts that process, like you said, of upregulating genes or resetting genes. So how long do I leave this patch on? And when I take it off, because I know you said, you mentioned earlier, for everyone listening, you gave it to your son. When you take it off, you put on a new one the next day. So how long do people have to wear them? And what would they expect from patching? Should they expect something like your son on day one right away? Is that normal? Or what do people normally expect the patch?
Well, first off, everyone is different. So, you're going to have to kind of feel your body. And that's one of the things that we always are talking about, is learning your body. And when you learn your body, some people, that the normal standard is, of course, as we all know, is a 12-hour patch. But some people might not be able to do that because they might be more sensitive for some reason. Now, normally, I don't think that'll happen because we're not putting anything in. But if you see that, and I think Dr. Stacey has a lot more, and the other ladies have a lot more experience at this than I do, but some people actually have to put it on less time. Also, if you're having an issue, say, and you're putting it like, say, where Dr. Stacey has hers, and you have an issue there, maybe try the bottom part of the body instead of the top part of the body. That's another thing that you can do. But you've got to kind of work through this and find what is the best for you. I wear X39 for 12 hours approximately during the day. I don't ever wear the X39 at night. Okay. Then I also wear, like I was saying earlier, I love the energy enhancers, because what I found out was I see about 12 to 15 patients a day is what I see. So a lot of times by my 3 o'clock or so, I'm having I start at 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going all day. Every half hour, I'm seeing patients. Every half hour, I'm meeting people, going through the body balance healing system and giving them answers every 30 minutes with no brain rest, pretty much. Okay. By 3 o'clock, I was getting pretty tired. I started using the energy enhancers with my X39, and I wasn't getting that drag. Matter of fact, I was out at dinner at 8 and 9 o'clock at night and thinking, I'm not tired. Mm. So I like that. Well, I use glutathione a lot of times, or in both of those at night. That's what feels good to me. I've tried it both ways. Mm-hmm. Because I also believe that the body is healing more at night. So I want to let it work at night. But yeah, everything has done well. And but that's what you have to do is 12 hours on, 12 hours off. Mm-hmm. But find that right spot for you. Play with it, just play with it and find everything. Everybody is individual. So find your individual, but start with the basics and see how they do for you.
Yeah, we always start with our X39. You mentioned the Eon for helping to reduce inflammation. We know that brings our nervous system into balance. It's another fantastic patch to start with. We call that the dynamic duo with that X39 and Eon. And like you said, everyone is different. Sometimes people do feel something on day one. I know I didn't. It was 3 weeks before I felt anything, and it really wasn't anything that significant, just a little bit more energy in the gym and, faster processing in my brain. But everyone typically experiences, maybe let's just say around 3 to 6 weeks in, some pain reduction, a little bit better quality sleep, reduction of brain fog, right? Their brains get sharper, right? A little bit more mental clarity, focus, concentration. People notice better sleep, a deeper REM sleep. And of course, if they have any kind of accidents or injuries, we see a 40% reduction in that heal time right away. So those are pretty common in the beginning, but this is not something that's meant to work just, for a day or for 3 weeks or for 6 weeks. This is designed for you to use based on your age as a starting point, at least 1 month for every decade you are old. That's really important that you give your body the time to wake up those master cells that are responsible for the repair and the regeneration in your body. And that compound effect is very real. And the more you patch, the more consistent you are with that patching day after day, week after week, month after month, you're going to see the compound results in the body healing itself. And that takes time, right? You mentioned root cause at the very beginning. And I love what you said about the root cause and using these patches, the X39 that activates those master cells, because those cells they're what are going to go and find whatever the issues are in the body and get down to the root, right? Get down to the main issue. Can you talk a little bit about if someone has a chronic issue, right? They've dealt with something for, a couple years, 4 years, 10 years, 20 years, chronic issue. How long do you think, or what would you recommend on patching for them? Obviously, I know depending on what their chronic issue is, but sure. Expectation wise, if something is been going on a lot longer.
Sure, I'll be glad to. First off, when you have a chronic problem, what basically is you have not addressed the root cause of it. Okay, everyone has thrown something at you for however long, and you've tried other things, but you really have not got down to the root cause. So what you have heard me say tonight is, and you probably already are maybe using the X39, that's where you want to start. And also the N, the dynamic duo. Those are the two that I would highly start with. If you're in severe pain, we haven't talked about it a lot tonight, Ice Wave. Okay, so the Ice Wave is really a neat product. I like it. My partner uses Ice Wave quite a bit, and it's helped her with her sleep and so forth. But here's the other part of this. This is our Body Balance Healing System plug here. You need an exam, okay? Because stem cells, and I'm sorry, I said it again, the cells, okay, that we work with is not going to fix everything, okay? I mean, I think it's fabulous, no question about it. But you still need a good natural health exam to see what's causing the problem. Is it circulatory? Is it digestive? Is it intestinal, glandular, immune? Is it lymph? Is it nervous system? Is it reproductive, respiratory, structural, urinary? Is it the fascia? Is it soft tissue? Is it emotional?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All of those things. Component. Yeah, all of those things are what Dr. Michael and I work with, and that we can help any of you with this chronic problem. But guaranteed, I want you definitely on X39, Ian, for sure. Those two, for sure. And of course, it's really what you are having issues with. If it's the big C, okay, if it's the big C, glutathione is added. If you're having GI tract problems, glutathione should be added. If you have pain, then you go with X39, Ian, and Ice Wave. Those are kind of the basics of starting that foundation. And then what we will do is we'll take from the foundation and find out what is not working properly, and we will correct it naturally.
Mm-hmm. I love that. That's really important. And you know, when people go to their traditional allopathic doctor, a lot of times, not always, because you know, last week I had 3 medical doctors on here. So, you know, they're all about root cause and getting, you know, the body back in balance. But a lot of times what people are dealt with is no one's interested in the root cause. They're interested in another prescription or another procedure or another test or another referral to another doctor to do another test for another procedure or another prescription. And people want to get to the bottom of their problems. They want their bodies to heal. They want to feel like they did before all of this started, whatever caused it, whether it was an accident or something traumatic or whatever, you know, and I'm all on board. I totally agree with you. And using the techniques that you do to help get to the root of the problem is very important. And it's so I've shared your website a lot in there. I know everyone's asked, but I've shared, you know, the links and stuff over and over again for people in the chat. I actually want, this is recorded, of course, and I will be uploading this on my YouTube channel. So I will put all of those links in the YouTube description as well. So if you're watching this recording and you can't happen to see it in the chat for whatever reason, all good.
Sorry.
Yours is big, mine is little. Luckily, she's not barking. Normally it's her barking tonight. But I'll definitely put the links in the description so you guys can have those as a reference as well. Because, you know, you do want to get to the bottom of your problem. We want answers to our, you know, what's going on with us and what's happening in our body. And, you know, using our patches is a fantastic way to be able to bypass, you know, like he said, using a lot of bottles and containers and things like that, but being able to help the body to heal naturally and getting down to the root of what's going on. So thank you so much for being on here tonight with me, Dr. Weber. I appreciate you taking the time out of your evening and sharing. I know Amy has shared in the chat as well. And I think she just sent me the flyer. I saw something pop across my phone. So I'll include that information in the description as well too. But I know everyone got so much value out of tonight. You know, the gut is so important, and being able to, you know, teach us and give us your wisdom and your knowledge on that is just, it's priceless. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here this evening and pouring into our LifeWave community.
Well, thank you so much. I do apologize. I got a 150-pound cane corso that got excited, so I'm sorry about that.
Beautiful
But
dogs.
yeah, thank you. But thank you so much, Dr. Stacy, and all the people here. Natural health is where to be. Life Wave is where to be, and we just want to be part of that family. So if we can help you, please let us know. And I hope to see you and come up and say hi to me in Orlando. And come to our August 3rd class with Amy. And thank you so much. God bless you. And again, remember, health is wealth. May you
Thank you.
prosper.
Thank you, Dr. Weber. Thank you, everyone. Have a fantastic evening.